More arc theorems in circles. We have a chord and a tangent and an angle that's formed by that chord and tangent. An arc is formed and the measure of the angle is half the measure of the arc. Or you can think of the arc as being twice the measure of the angle. So if our angle is n degrees, the arc is 2n. In this example, the arc formed by the chord and the tangent measures 3x degrees, and the angle formed by the chord and the tangent is 48 degrees. And the relationship between the two of them is that the angle is half as big as the arc, which means if we know that arc measure, which is 3x, we need twice as many of those angle measures to get the same thing. So 3x will be 2 times 48, which is 96. Divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals 32, and there is our x. Okay, secants can sometimes meet inside a circle, where chords are inside the circle. We can also have two tangents that meet outside the circle, and also we can have a secant and a tangent that meet outside the circle, and finally two secants that meet outside. Let's find arc measures when chords meet inside a circle. We don't have to intersect at the center. Here is an angle formed and its vertical pair. We'll get two arcs on either side of those angles, and we can call the angle measure n degrees, and the arcs a and b degrees. Our theorem says you find n by adding a and b and dividing by 2. This example is the case where we have two chords intersecting inside a circle. So we have two outer arcs. One measures 65 degrees, one measures 83 degrees, and we can find x, which remember that x is the same as this x because vertical angles are congruent. So all we need to do is add the two arcs together because we have the formula right here. And how we do this, add those two arcs together, divide by 2. 65 plus 83 is 148 over 2, which is 74. So each angle here is 74 degrees. If we wanted to find the other angle here, you would just remember that they are a linear pair. So all you'd need to do is 74 plus whatever that angle is would be 180. So that would make this 106 degrees, if you needed to find that. Next, we have two tangents that meet outside the circle, which forms an angle right here. We have an arc here and another arc over here. These arcs are a degrees and b degrees in measure. The formula is the measure of the big arc minus the small arc divided by 2. If we have a tangent and secant, the formula is the same, big arc minus small arc over 2. And it's the same for two secants, big arc minus small arc divided by 2. In this example, we have two secant lines that intersect outside the circle right here. So we're going to use the formula shown there, which says you take the larger arc, subtract the measure of the smaller arc, divide the whole thing by 2, and then you'll be able to find your x. So that means this x here will equal 120 minus 40 divide by 2. So x will be 80 over 2, which means x will be 40. So let's move on to the next question here. So I'm going to make this smaller out of the way. In this second example, we now have a secant over here, but a tangent over here. But it is the same process. You use the same formula. It is the large arc minus the small arc, divide by 2, and that will give you your x. X equals 190 minus 78 over 2. 190 minus 78 is 112 over 2, which is 56, and that's our x. All right, let me just get these two examples out of the way so we can look at our last example. Now, in this case, we have two tangents, right? So touching the circle one place each tangent line. And so we use the same formula, b minus a over 2. So large arc minus small arc divided by 2 gives us the x. So there's one problem here, though. Looking at this, I see one of the arcs here. So this one's 110, but we don't have a value for that larger arc. But never fear, we can deal with that because we know all the way around the circle is 360 degrees. So if that smaller arc is 110, we can find the other part of the circle by saying 360 minus 110 degrees, and we get 250 degrees, which is the measure of this outer arc up here. So once you know the measure of that outer arc, it's just like the other examples. X will be 250 minus 110, big arc minus small arc over 2, and that will be 140 over 2, which means the x will be 70. Thanks for watching and listening. I sure hope that was helpful for you.